Hi, English Nomad here, and this is episode 19, and in today's episode I'm just going to be discussing UHF radios, and rather than do an installation video I'm just going to explain my choice for my UHF CB radio that I'm going to install, and just basically explain why I chose what I've chosen and what its main primary function is. So the UHF CB radio is one of the key communication components that you have in your overland vehicle. Being in Australia, in most places, once you get into remote Australia, mobile phones are practically useless. So UHF is the main method most people use to communicate with each other once they're out in the bush. The main purpose is to be aware of any situations that are happening that you need to be aware of, traffic conditions, road conditions, if there's an accident up ahead. Also, if you're traveling in a convoy and you want to keep in touch, you've lost sight of a member of the convoy, you can stay in touch with that member. So they have a myriad of uses out in the bush and overlanding, and an essential piece of kit for any build. You have to have a CB radio. It's a must-have item for four-wheel driving and for travelling in outback Australia. So what have I chosen? Well, I've selected the GME. GME is an Australian manufacturer who makes CB radios, electronics. I've chosen their 3350 model. Now, as you can see, this is a very compact unit. This is actually the main part of the CB radio. It's the main CB unit. The reason I selected this one is it can be tucked away in a hidden spot behind the dashboard, because it doesn't have any controls on it. All of the controls are actually on the microphone, as you can see here. I'll just bring that a little bit closer into the camera so you can see. All of the controls are actually on the microphone. It also has a built-in speaker, so everything is in the one unit. Those who know the LandCruiser, there isn't a great deal of real estate in the dashboard for fitting a DIN-mounted CB radio, so this option was the best option for me, because all I have to do is find somewhere to fit the unit and then find a spot to hang the microphone up on the dashboard, and that's all I need to do. In order to fit that, it comes with an extension cable for the microphone, so the unit can actually be quite a distance away from the microphone due to this extension cable, and it's only the only wiring I need to do is a positive and negative. Now I'm going to look for a power source that is ignition live, meaning that if I forget to switch it off, it isn't going to flatten my battery, because it will automatically switch off when the ignition's off. It comes fused already, so I just need to, probably the cigarette lighter power, I'll probably tap into that for the power for the CB radio. It's only drawing very small current. I think the fuse is rated at 3 amps, so it's not drawing a huge amount of current, so that's perfectly acceptable. So the next part of the jigsaw puzzle is aerial choice. Now, before I actually tell you what aerial I've got, I need to probably explain the different types of aerial that you can buy and why there's such a wide variety. So if you're buying an aerial, you will be offered all kinds of different choices in dB rating. So the aerial itself is rated at so many decibels in terms of gain. So to explain what gain is, at 5 watts, this unit is a 5 watt CB radio. All CB radios are 5 watt. If you have 0 gain, imagine, if you will, a bubble, perfectly round spherical bubble, and that is the signal at 0 gain that you're getting out of your aerial. Now as you increase the gain, the bubble starts to flatten out, so it goes longer out this way and flatter this way, so the depth of the bubble becomes shallower as the gain increases. So for this is a 2 decibel aerial, that will still have a fairly spherical bubble, but slightly flatter, so it'll be an oval shape, and that is perfect for when you're driving in built up areas or in the hills where you want to still have depth of penetration of your signal to get over hills, around buildings, over buildings, around trees. You know, line of sight is less of an issue if you've got a low decibel rated aerial. And then as you increase in decibels, the bubble flattens even further until you get to, say, 9 decibels, where it's almost like a pancake. It's really, really long, it's throwing out a really wide signal, but it's not very good at getting over and around obstacles because it's got no depth of penetration. I think I'm using the correct term, but that's how I like to think about it. So if you imagine line of sight, it'll throw out a really long signal, so 25-30 kilometers on a straight road, not a problem. But as soon as you come to hilly terrain, as soon as you come to very built up areas, then it becomes a problem. It's not going to be able to send out and receive a signal in those environments quite as well as a low decibel. So what you see is a lot of guys generally drive with 2 aerials. They'll have something like a big whip, like a 9 decibel whip, and they'll have a smaller whip which is more suitable for general four-wheel driving in hilly areas in the high country, where you want to be able to still stay in contact when your friends are on the other side of the hill. So so I hope that kind of explains how gain works, and why, you know, aerial selection is purely dependent on what your application is. If you're spending all of your time on open plains, driving, say, the Nullarbor, day in, day out, you know, you're a truck driver, you probably want a big aerial that's got a high gain, because you want to be able to talk to guys that are many kilometers ahead, keep aware of what's going on the road ahead. If you're driving in the city, built up areas, in the bush, in hilly bush, you're going to want a lower decibel aerial that's going to give you a better range in those conditions. And then you can find something in the middle, which is a compromise, like a 5 or a 6 decibel aerial that is kind of best of both worlds. And most people find that an aerial like that is the best choice because it's a good all-round aerial in terms of the application that you're going to use it for. It will give you a little bit of distance, but it'll also work well in most built up conditions as well, like hills. So what have I gone with? Well, I've gone with a company, another Australian manufactured product, is the RFI CDQ5000. Now the RFI CDQ has interchangeable whips, and that's one of the reasons I chose this product. It comes with a 5 decibel whip, and RFI, their proprietary technology in this is all the circuitry is on a printed circuit board, a flexible printed circuit board. So there's only, I think there's only one soldered joint in the entire aerial. A lot of cheaper manufacturers, there's a lot of wires inside the whip, and the wires are soldered together, and with vibrations and corrugations there is a risk that those can fail. So this is actually a really robust whip, and very highly regarded manufacturer here in Australia. Now it comes as a kit, because I went for the option to buy it with a second whip, and that is this little rubber ducky type whip, which is a 2 decibel whip, which is probably the one that I'll keep on when I'm just driving around the city and what have you. It'll give me fairly good range in built-up areas, because it is 2 decibels, so it's going to have that gain that will give me the sort of signal that I want in built-up areas. And this being the 5 decibel whip will give me good all-round capability when I'm four-wheel driving, if I'm in sand dunes and what have you. It'll still work quite well. If I needed to at a later date, I can buy a bigger whip, and that's the beauty of this system. You can buy several different whips and they just screw straight onto there without needing to change the entire aerial or run a second aerial. You see a lot of guys who do run 2 aerials, and they generally have a splitter, so the splitter will allow them to switch from one aerial to the other aerial. I didn't want to go that way, because on my bull bar I've got 2 spots for aerials. One's going to be for the UHF, and the other spot is going to be for a mobile phone antenna, because that's another thing that I want to do, is I want to improve my mobile phone signal when I'm on the road, especially with me wanting to upload YouTube channel material and stay in touch with people when I may be in remote spots and I might have a weak signal. Having that external antenna will probably improve that situation. So that's why I want to just have the one UHF aerial, so that the other spot on the bull bar can be for my cell phone. So what I'll do is I'll do the installation, and then I'll come back to you with some general feedback on how the installation went and what I think of the product. I'll give you a kind of overall assessment of the ease of installation and feedback as to what I think of the radio once it's in and it's operating. So I'll come back to you later with an update after the installation. Like I said, I don't want to really bore you with the actual installation. It's only 2 wires and a bit of fiddling around to get it in and fitting the aerial to the bull bar. There's lots and lots of YouTube videos on installing UHF radios, and I don't think I need to add to that content. So I'll catch you again very shortly with once I finish the installation. See you later, guys. Hi, back again, and as you can see, I've installed the aerial. I'll just show you what that looks like. So as you can see, the aerial's mounted to the bull bar. At the moment I've got the smaller of the 2 whips attached to the base. I'll very quickly show you how you can swap these over. So it's just a matter of removing the whip, so this is the 5 decibel whip. As you can see, it's a much bigger whip than the smaller rubber ducky whip that I had on a moment ago, and that will give me a much longer range when I'm out on open roads, and give me a good balance between distance and also being able to get good signal in built-up areas and in the hills and bush. So The only issue I do have is with that whip on, I can't actually get the car into the garage. I have to take the whip off, so I'm going to leave this one off while I'm driving around town. It's actually really good being able to just interchange between the different whips. It's only a very quick job to screw that on. It's actually a really well made product, very well finished. I was very impressed with the quality. The only drama I had installing the aerial was actually getting the cable through the bulkhead. There is a grommet on the passenger side, which has a bunch of cables going through, and it has a couple of spaces to pass new cables through, which I've already passed a couple of cables through into the cab, so I was able to utilise that, but it was fiddly. To get it in, I used a piece of welding wire and taped the cable to a piece of welding wire, passed that through the grommet, and then pulled it through the other side with a bit of silicone lubricant to aid it going through the grommet, and it wasn't too bad. Got it through in the end. It's like everything else. It's not a great deal of room around inside that engine bay to work, so you got to kind of have little tiny girls' hands to get everywhere and be able to fiddle about with this stuff, which I don't have. So there you go. Okay, we'll take a look at the CB radio now inside the vehicle. Hi, so I'm just inside the vehicle right now. I'm just going to show you where I mounted the UHF radio. So we'll just take a quick look at that now, and you may just be able to hear it in the background there. So you can see just down here is where I put the main unit. There's a little bit of room just here behind this little console, and I screwed it to the back of there. The cables are all hidden behind there. Everything's connected up to live, which is on the ignition. And the fuse is accessible, so if it stops working I can get to the fuse if I need to just check if the fuse is blown. And just up here you'll see the microphone. It's on scan mode at the moment. There's someone talking on channel 4, so you can hear that. Let's see, it's scanning through now. Now the colour of the screen at the moment is purple, but you can change the colour. It goes through a whole spectrum of colours, from orange right through to blue. So I can change that to my own taste. I probably will change it. I don't like that colour too much. I was just fiddling about with it yesterday, and it's been in for a couple of days. As you can hear, it's working. I can turn the volume up. It was only on very low volume. It's obviously I'm in the garage now, so the signal strength I'm getting is pretty weak. That's telling me that whoever's on the radio now, I'm only getting 2 is the signal strength. But when I'm out on the road, I'm getting really good strong signal. So I can't wait to get out and try it out in the bush, talking to people who are... I'll just turn that down now. So the microphone works really well. I need to figure out how I make it sound better. I think there's different tools that you can use to cut out some of the noise. I don't know how to do it. I need to read the instructions. But from what I've seen, I'm really impressed with the unit. It's very well made. It's a very high quality piece of kit, and for the price, I can't complain. I think I paid around $600 for the CB and the aerials, and yeah, so I'm very happy. So I'll just quickly summarise. It was a very, just turn that off. It was a very easy installation. You can see where I've put it. The wiring was very simple. 2 wires, live and a ground, which I tied into the cigarette lighter. So it was a very quick installation. I soldered the joints, taped everything up, and then installed the radio where you just saw me show you where it is. It's so compact, it can live in that space, and it fits there very well. So I'm very happy with that. Having all the controls on the microphone means that I'm not going to be fiddling about trying to find channels when I'm on the move. I can do that while I've got the controller in my hand. But typically, I mean, I'm probably just going to drive around with it in scan mode most of the time, because I won't be using it. More just sort of getting used to how it works and listening to. It's funny because I was listening to a conversation the other day, and a guy was evangelizing on the CB about God and all this stuff. It was quite interesting to listen to the sort of comments he was getting back off other people on the CB. So there's some strange characters who live in that CB world, talking to each other. So yeah, I think as a tool for what I bought it for, it's going to be perfect when I get out in the bush. If I have a breakdown, I'm trying to talk to people, then I think it's going to be perfect for that. So please tell me what you think. As always, please like this video, share this video, subscribe, and if you do decide to subscribe, click the little bell icon so that you get the notifications when I upload a new video. And as always, please comment below. And until next time, this is Mike signing off with another successful installation. See you next time, guys.